All good. You're a lot better at being quiet than our students are, so thanks very much for that. They normally start throwing stuff at us within about 5 minutes as well, so we'll see how we go. Yeah, thanks. Excuse me. Thanks very much for coming this evening. Before we get started, I would just like to thank quite a few people, so bear with us. My presentation to kick things off is mainly thanking people, and then Regan's going to talk about what we did before we start moving round. Before we get going though, some housekeeping. Toilets are just down the corridor there, so keep going. If you hit the gym, you've gone too far. If, in the unlikely event there is a fire alarm and all that, just leave. Like it's we will check for you, and we'll probably gather just down there. But obviously, hopefully that's not going to happen on Friday night. So the main people we have to thank this evening are the main sort of funder and sponsor for this event, the International Society of, or what is it, Paul? Sorry, International Sports Engineering Association. They really kindly gave us a grant for this event, so that's paid for all sorts of bits and pieces, and has certainly paid for the booze and food, the important stuff. So thanks very much to them. Thanks to Prides for coming along. We were really thrilled when Hayley Jane and I had a chat a couple of weeks ago, and they were really keen to come along and support what we're doing, and hopefully that's going to keep growing over time. And thanks, a massive thanks needs to go to Ainsley Polo. I remember ringing Lucy a couple of years ago saying, oh, we've got some ideas and we'd like to do some sports science in polo, please. And her and Kel were really keen. I'd also like to congratulate them on the recent addition of their horse Wembley at the Polo Hall of Fame. That's a fantastic achievement. Other people we have to thank, Wintec. Again, we spent a bit of their money this season, about $5,000 of their money on polo research, so we are going to talk to you about that this evening. Richard Coates, a friend of Alice and ours, very kindly donated some money to buy horse heart rate monitors, which is what Regan's going to be speaking to you about later on. Thanks very much to Armis, who've recently come on board. Thanks very much to VX Sport, our GPS people, who Regan and I annoyed pretty much every day throughout last season. And really thanks to everyone in this room, not just for coming along, but for letting us stick GPS units on you last season, for answering phone calls and things like that, and just letting us be annoying, really. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully you'll have a great evening seeing what we'd like to think we achieved last season. So this all began a couple of years ago for me, before we even came to New Zealand. Alice is good friends with Hazel, and I sort of knew what polo was when I met Hazel, but then I was real fortunate to be taken by Alice and Hazel at the final of the Gold Cup, and sort of fell in love with the sport, and was just amazed that there was no sports science in polo at all. So it's been a bit of a drive, and since coming to New Zealand, when Alice started working as a groom for Kiki, that really acted as a catalyst for us to be around polo players, get time on the ground, and just figure out what the sport was about, and have some of those initial conversations that led to the research we're going to talk to you about this evening. It's grown quite a lot since those conversations on the side of a pitch. This is what our last 10 days has looked like. We've interacted with a lot of different people, and we are really passionate not just about growing the science in polo, but using that science to grow the interest in polo as well. So it's not just Regan and myself who do all this. It's yourself as players and grooms. You're invaluable to us. And Paul and Mohammed have come along recently as our sports engineers, and we've worked quite closely with those on some real interesting projects that you're going to see this evening. We've worked with a range of equipment manufacturers, so working with Wood Mallets. We'd love to work a bit more closely with Ainsley Saddlery too. Mohammed's going to be starting some work soon, I think, with Armis, and potentially with La Martina, with some of Paul's interests as well in protective clothing. And we're trying to take this international. We know here at Wintec we're not renowned for being an equine college, we're sports scientists, and our boss is quietly reminding us of that now. So you maybe need to be doing a bit more sports science, guys. So what we're doing is reaching out to other institutes around the world. In the last week, we've sort of provisionally partnered with 4 equine institutes. So we're really pleased with how this is going. And next week we're catching up with some guys down in Massey who've done plenty of work in horses. So we're excited about how we can collaborate with others to better understand polo. We'd love to get some vets involved because we realise horses need to be kept healthy. And a big thank you to those who work with horses every day. So Ainsley and more recently KB Bloodstock, who've had us along to trial some horse heart rate stuff. I think that's about everything that I need to talk about. I'm going to hand over to Regan now, who will tell you about what we did last season, I think. Cool.